On this episode of the Summoning Circle podcast, we talk to the recent winner of GwentMania Korea. Hi, I'm Vanitas, and welcome to another episode of the Summoning Circle. Today we interview Insangpha, who recently took away first prize in GwentMania Korea. He is also the top streamer from Korea and a member of Team GwentMania. We discuss how he got into Gwent, his history with card games, and how he took down the GwentMania tournament. Then we get into a discussion on Muzzle and some of the finer points of the current state of the meta. And without further ado, here's the interview. Hello, Insangpha. Welcome to the interview.
Hey, Vitus. Good to see you, man.
Likewise. I'm glad I finally get to sit down and talk to you. So, to get things started, let's get the listeners a little more familiar with your background in card games. What other card games have you played before Gwent, and how did you get into them?
Well, I know for some of the players, the origin story goes all the way back to like Magic the Gathering and even Pokemon and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really play much paper-based card games. And I think I jumped on the Hearthstone because of my brother.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so I spent most of my the game time playing Hearthstone. Then
Right.
after Hearthstone got kind of dull, there were like a new card games coming out on the market, right? Like Duelist and Shadowverse.
Yeah.
And that's when I got kind of exposed to Mogai, because Mogai was really doing Duelist at the time.
Right.
So those are the days, and all of a sudden Gwent popped up. So I applied to the closed beta, but didn't expect to get in, right? Because the spread of the kills is kind of limited, and all of a sudden they spread the keys to everyone who applied upon the Nilfgaard update.
Oh, nice.
So I joined in. That's when I started playing Gwent on this February. Yeah, so that's and I realized that it was a really good game, and I played it for about 2 May, and I decided to stream it when it opened up to open beta, when we moved to open beta phase in June. So that's when I started streaming.
Cool.
So that's a story of how I got into the Gwent. Yeah.
Cool. So you said you started with Hearthstone. Did you start at the beginning of Hearthstone? Were you in the beta of that, or was it after it got popular?
Yeah, I think I was started when with the Hearthstone was in the open beta phase.
Yeah.
So it was way before the first expansion, Naxxramas.
Right. It took a long time to get any new cards.
Yeah, and so I have a very good understanding of Hearthstone, of course, having played that for like more than 2 years now. Yeah.
Cool. So you're competitive in Gwent now. Were you competitive in any other games before?
Not really. I mean, before I played Hearthstone, I wouldn't call it casual because I spent a lot of time on it.
Right.
But I didn't really try to make my mark on legend rank or trying to go to competition or anything like of that nature.
Right.
Just a couple of times when you get to face a pro gamer on ladder and you get to beat them. Yeah. Those are the memories, but that was as close as I've got to competitive scene, whatever you call it. So yeah, I had the honor of facing against I think can't remember the name right off the head, but he's the best pro gamer I think in Korean scene. What's his name? Kranich. Oh yeah, Kranich. I faced with Kranich.
Oh, cool.
And then I faced against Stan Siska. So those are 2 pro gamers that I remember. But in Hearthstone, it's highly unlikely to face against pro gamers that often, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Gwent, you
kind of face them all the time if you go on the pro ladder. This match you're gonna get AJ Passat, this match you're gonna go against Crocus, the next one you're gonna face Petrify. It's like maybe our buddies here, but so obviously Gwent is a more smaller niche community at this point, so that's kind of expected in a way. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah. And especially with pro ladder, you're only playing against people that are pretty high either pretty high or either pretty low, so it's hard. It's hard to expect I don't know what to expect from pro ladder. So yeah, Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
One game you're playing someone trying out like a Mill Scoia'tael deck, and the next game you're playing Adzikov or something.
Yeah. That was the experience, especially last season. I was trying to crack into top 200, right?
Yeah.
To qualify for the challenge qualifier.
Right.
And I that day I faced Alizikov 3 times, and I lost all 3 games. Had I won at least 2 of those, I probably would have got in to top 200. I was like, yeah, and then I just couldn't just do it. At the end of the day, I was winning like about more than 60% of my games.
Yeah.
And that should get me in, right? Because my rank should be going up and up.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen because of the influx of so many low quality players towards the end of the ladder, and I was facing them at 2. And I beat them. I go up, my rank goes up by like 1. I lose. I lose points by like 10, something like that. It was crazy. So
yeah, I think definitely it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, if you are serious into laddering, then finish your laddering before the end of the season. That's my advice.
Yeah, for sure. I think you need to win with this number of players playing Pro Ladder. It needs to be about 80%. Win 80% of your games against the low level players, and half of your games against the high level players. So yeah, it's pretty difficult. So recently, speaking of competitive Gwent, you won GwentMania Korea. What was your
yeah.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thanks.
That's a nice accomplishment. You can crown yourself the King of Korea for now.
Oh, I wouldn't say King of Korea because I didn't actually face up against the Gravekeeper, right?
Yeah.
That's what everyone was kind of expecting, looking at the brackets, that Insangpha and Gravekeeper is going to face up in the finals.
Yeah.
And Gravekeeper actually beat me in quite famously in the Gwent Slam qualifier.
Right.
And so
I remember.
I kind of had a score to settle, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't meet up in the final, so and I was like, at least one of us has to win it. So I was a little extra motivated to do better.
Yeah.
And because everybody is sort of there's like pressure from the Korean community, right? In a way. Yeah. It's a very small community, but community is a community. So yeah.
Exactly. GwentMania is best of 5, right? Best of 5, no bans.
Yeah, it was a best of 5 contest rule.
Yeah.
And the rule of the game was you bring 3 factions, but while you're locked up against certain player, you get to change the leader and the cards if you lose with that certain faction.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what was your strategy?
The more that you prepare, the better off you are.
So how did you prepare?
How did I prepare? Well, I had an idea of what kind of factions and decks that they bring, right? And there's what I call my signature deck, the Bear and the Maiden Fairy deck from Skellige.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna bring that deck for sure. Then Scoia'tael, I was kind of divisive on what I want to bring. Like either it's gonna be my Sparatel or hand buff that I was working on.
Yeah.
And for the third deck, I was trying out like hands out, maybe Northern Islands control.
Right.
And it didn't work out. And yeah, I figured I might as well bring Emir Spies, right? It's such a strong deck.
Right.
And you cannot really go wrong with the Emir Spies. As long as you play it relatively good, it's always going to give you a chance to win.
Yeah, for sure.
And it gives you a chance to flip the coin. And it's one of the best decks out there. When you lose the coin flip, it still gives you a chance to win, right?
Right.
And the idea of the tournament is that you should always bring decks that's going to give you a chance to win, even if you lose the coin flip.
That's true.
So, and it so happened that in my first series against a very good player and a friend of mine and a good Korean streamer, Red Rock, I lost all the 5 coin flips.
All 5?
all five. And it was really maddening. It was insane. Like I didn't want to go out on the first round, obviously, right?
Right.
So, and before in my Grand Slam qualifier, the first and the second one, I lost in the matchup where my coin flip was 1 and 4.
Right.
So I lost 4 coin flips, and I was against a very good opponent by that time, right? So then I lost, and this time I just wanted to win. A coin flip, winning, losing or not. I just wanted to win so hard bad. So I was really focused. I mean, there was a game that I lost because I made a mistake.
Yeah.
It was a very small mistake, but it was so soul crushing. Basically, what happened was he played the Succubus, right?
Yeah.
He played Succubus in a Constant Monsters, and you don't expect Succubus in Constant Monsters ever in this meta, right?
No,
and,
never.
And before he was played Succubus, I accidentally played Manu earlier. I mean, it wasn't in a situation where I was getting a full Manu value anyway, right?
Right.
But I could have waited.
Yeah.
And I also had the build approach in my hand. So if I keep out of those two, I would have won that game.
Yeah.
And to lose to Succubus, man, I was
that's crushing, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't experienced it in such a long while now. So
yeah, that's a card you can forget about.
To come out of the series with a win, it sort of gave me the conviction that, oh, okay, maybe I can win it all. I mean, I just beat the odds of losing a coin flip. So
yeah,
how bad can it get from here?
True.
And yeah, the rest of the series was pretty hard too. I mean, my overall record was 5-game series, 5-game series, 5-game series, and 4-4.
Yeah.
So each opponent gave me a hell of a fight, and I should bring my A game to, beat them. And you don't expect any less from a card game, right? That's a card game, so you win, you lose, and you just try to maximize your chance. So my final lineup was basically that I used the Skellige as my opener. So because I felt it was the most reliable deck in my deck lineup, and I'm most used to playing it. So even if I'm against the best player, coin flip and all that, I still feel like I have a very good chance to win with the deck. Then for my second deck to win the second victory, I chose Emmy Spies.
Yeah.
People like to go use Spies as a finisher, but I guess I'm not really that confident in the level yet to use Spies as my finisher. And I felt that it's good enough that I shouldn't lose 2 games in a row with the Emir Spies. That was my reasoning.
Yeah, that's
and for my finisher, deck, I used my handbuff Squirtle. And it's a very unique take on the handbuff. But I experimented on the ladder, and I felt that it's gonna give me a good chance to win. And I used the Sperate only for the final series. So those are the decks I used.
Oh, cool. So a couple questions. First, what is unique about your handbuff Squirtle deck?
So handbuff, the popular build going around is the Francesca, right?
Yeah.
And I use Brubo Hook.
Okay, yeah.
And in that I have some interesting take. So I play Barclay Elves, right? Then I play Pyrotechnicians. So if I hit the full three targets with the Pyrotechnicians, it's a 23 points play.
Yeah.
With just little build, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That frees up the spots in the bronze and silver sections to make your deck more balanced than Francesca. Like Francesca, you are pretty much locked up into the Alvin Commandos and Alien package, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So there's less bronze and silver spots to go around.
Yeah.
And Francesca does have a consistency of definitely drawing to gold that you want to draw.
Yeah.
There is that. But I felt that the tempo loss is not really worth it. And it's way too risky in tournament setting. That's the way I felt.
Yeah, Brewer Hoog also... I mean, you can't put gold into your hand with Brewer Hoog, but you can play any silver. So...
yeah.
It's still a very consistent card.
You can make a case for Francesca because playing your Avers and Itlin early to boost up your Sword Masters and Elven units are so critical to the deck, right? So you could make an argument that is more important than tempo. So... but it's just my preference, right? So I went with the Brubo Hook and I had success with it.
Nice. So my next question is, why did you switch to Speletal for the last matchup?
Oh, for the last matchup. So for the final, the two games was Constant Monsters. He brought the Constant Monster again and again.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he lost to both of my decks. So my Skellige and Nilfgaard graduated, and I only had a square remaining.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just felt that, okay, so now he has his deck remaining is, I think, was a Nilfgaard and monsters and Squirtle.
Mm-hmm.
And my handbuff Squirtle is pretty bad against the constant monsters, and it's probably also bad against the spell Squirtle. I thought that would be the deck he would be bringing, spell Squirtle, right? But that's more popular than handbuff.
Yeah.
And so my handbuff is only good against Nilfgaard, and he has more chance to bring other monsters and Squirtle in the next game.
I see.
That's my reasoning.
That's smart.
And so yeah, I think I brought my but for the third game, I still used the handbuff deck, and I think I damaged the game. I lost to Nilfgaard actually, so I lost to Nilfgaard Spies, and now the only decks remaining is the lineup is monsters and Squirtle, and there's no way I'm gonna bring my handbuff Squirtle against either one of those.
No.
So I decided to go with the spell Squirtle because my spell attack is built pretty well against mirror matchup.
Yeah, and it's also good against
it's super good against conscious monsters, right? So, and I got matched up with the spell Squirtle, so it was a mirror matchup, but I lost the coin flip. And in the mirror matchup, the coin flip pretty much decided the fate of the game, especially in the spell Artel matchup.
Yeah.
And this was before the crazy beer Artel days of swim. So, and I knew that it's probably going to be control spell Artel using 5 series and whatnot. And I somehow managed to win by 1 point.
Nice.
Yeah, so his deck wasn't really geared up towards the mirror match. It's more geared up towards like stopping on consume and a swarm deck, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I got a little bit of break from there, and so I somehow managed to come out with a 1 point victory.
Nice.
So that's how I became a champion of GwentMania Korea.
Cool. Congratulations. Well, so it sounds like you overcame a lot of blue coins to win that, including the final game.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of blue coins I saw in the it was insane, man. Like, especially the first series.
Yeah, winning.
I wouldn't want them. I want that one my worst enemy, and and not many people can say, "Oh, I overcame 5 straight blue coins in the tournament series." So
that's impressive. And winning on a blue coin is also that's got to feel good too.
Yeah.
So, Gwent in Korea, how is the scene? I mean, we all know you and we all know Gravekeeper, but
Gwent scene in Korea is now pretty small.
Still pretty small.
And we done open beta. Some people like decide to join like streaming scene. More people kind of joined and played. It was at the day when life coach moving to Gwent was sort of a big deal.
Right.
And naturally people got curious, and Korean people tried that out too. But then people started losing interest because the language is still locked into English. We couldn't really, because it wasn't localized yet, right? It's still not localized now. It's not localized now. It's still not. So, and that's a tough deal. So there are not many notable Korean players.
I see.
Sadly, on the big tournament scene, it's just me and Gravekeeper.
Right.
Yeah,
I think most people are familiar with both of you. That's unfortunate that it's not localized yet. I think it is already localized into Japanese, so I would expect they'll come to Korea soon. Because I think Korea has some pretty popular Hearthstone streamers, right?
Yeah, so, and there are a lot of Korean people who would love to jump into Gwent, and even those who left to Gwent, right, they should come back once the Korean language gets released and it's a full localization, right? People will come back, and I'm kind of waiting for that because the more Korean community grows, it's better for me as well, right? As a streamer and person who's now really into Gwent streaming and taking part in tournament and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was kind of also expecting like a new person to emerge out of the GwentMania Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But it
yeah,
was
I don't
you.
want to see the championship. I want the championship myself. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. So I think you're the only one consistently streaming from Korea. Is that right?
at least in English, that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a Gravekeeper
Yeah.
sometimes streams on and off, but a Gravekeeper has also other like commitments, like a Feria. Don't even can I pronounce it in English? And
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know that game.
Yeah.
Is that a Korean game?
No. It's a. Let me just spell it out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Feria is Feria. Yeah.
I've seen
It's
it.
a pretty good game, but it's kind of complicated and not really many people play.
I see.
But Gravekeeper is really big into this game, and yeah.
It's got to be tough playing two games at a high level, but
yeah. So, but Gravekeeper somehow managed that, so he's a really good player.
Yeah, but you are the champion, though. So.
Oh well, yeah.
That's all right. So you said you wanted to talk about Muzzle and other neutral gold cards. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you have to say?
So I kind of want to talk about it because Swim and Petrify talked extensively in their talk show or Tier 2 podcast.
Yeah.
I kind of want to give my own spin on it, or maybe word it differently.
Yeah.
So Muzzle, I mean, it's good to have a good neutral goals in the starter set, like the classic set, right? Like in Hearthstone, we had the Sylvanus and Ragnaros. In Gwent, we have the Geralts and Annifers, and which is good for the game. Something that new players can familiarize themselves into, and something that they don't feel penalized for playing when they get those cards.
Right.
And they can put those cards into any faction and see relatively powerful play, so they don't have to feel left out, right?
That's true.
And that's the function of neutral goals, I feel. And I think those Annifers and Geralt cards are really good starting place, because those are the main heroes and heroines of the game, right? And it should be powerful neutral cards, and I think CDPR nailed that. But afterwards, man, with the new cards being released, they released cards like Dura Grey.
Yeah.
And now the Dura Grey was the Chimera meta, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can play Dura Grey and get insane value out of it.
Right, the carryover
and
meta.
Then now we have a Muzzle meta. Muzzle meta is it's incredibly boring, right? And the reason why Muzzle is so damn strong is because there is no heavy mana cost associated with such a card like that. Like a card with a strong mind control effect will have a strong mana cost associated to it with it in any other card games.
Yeah, like in Hearthstone, it's 10 mana.
Yeah, it's 10 mana, right? You're spending your whole mana in turn.
Yeah.
And it's just the cost of a gold slot. And
the fourth gold is often not very strong for a lot of factions. Like with Skellige, they don't have a good fourth gold, so it's easy to just throw Muzzle in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the idea is that the case can be made where every deck should run Muzzle. It's that prevalent. And Muzzle is the best way to counter the Muzzle.
Exactly.
And even if you don't run key bronze, that's maybe you only run units that's okay to be Muzzle on your own end. But just stealing opponent's key unit is also good too. So you don't want to give up that part. So you run Muzzle anyway. And it just makes the meta very boring and predictable, and especially in the game. It's a really lousy feeling, when you trade Muzzle for Muzzle.
Yeah.
The net gain value of playing a gold card for me and my opponent is 0. And And using gold cards should be highlight of the game, right? It should either crush you or push you over the edge. And if you trade Muzzle for Muzzle, you might as well just play with the 3 gold cards.
Yeah, I think
It's the same as that. And how
I
boring
agree.
is that?
Yeah.
And like Muzzle is so good that it makes a bad card like a Blue Dream viable.
Right, because
sometimes you don't draw into Muzzle into your opening hand, right? And
Yeah.
that increases having a Blue Dream in your deck increases your chance to counter Muzzle.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah, so
And Muzzle is one of the gold cards you can expect to be played in the early round, in the first round.
yeah, for carryover
And
or
yeah, that makes a card like a Blue Dream very reliable.
that's
And
interesting.
I saw Red Rain and the Gravekeeper running Blue Dream in their Hansel deck.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. People would call it a meme or idiotic, but it's perfectly calculated. It makes perfect sense because you want to be able to counter their Muzzle.
Yeah.
And you want to boost your chance of doing that. And it's just
You can also use it to resurrect Dijkstra for a double DJ play.
Yeah, there's that too. There's that meme, and it's just badly designed card, man. And when you see it being played in every deck, every kinds, and that's the kind of stuff that kills a game, from what I recall, because when your neutral card is so strong that it plays by like all the factions, it kills the diversity and makes the game so boring, and people are gonna like move away to other games. People are gonna stop playing, and Muzzle is really at that level of prevalence. It's dangerous. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's either the strongest, like at the very weakest, you're stealing 8 points from their board, right? At the very weakest, it's a 16-point gold. Maybe a 14-point gold. But at the strongest, you're stealing carryover, you're stealing like a key card, you're stealing a card that buffs like Kaedwani Siege support or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's too predictable that you're going to get high value. It's like a Geralt Igni, except more reliable.
Yeah. So I play a Muzzle and Summoning Circle in my Skellige deck, right?
Yeah.
And if my opponent plays Morkbark from hand or Olgierd from hand, then the game is over. Like I'm gonna Summoning Circle, get myself another Morkbark, then I'm gonna Muzzle your Morkbark at full value. So I have now 3 Morkbark on my board. And it's game over for my opponent. What can you do, right? If he didn't draw one to Muzzle of his own, it's game over. I mean, even if he called out one of my Morkbark, it's still game over.
Yeah, he needs his own Muzzle and Blue Dream to steal your Muzzle.
Yeah, I mean, a card that breaks the balance like that, man. And sometimes Sri mentioned this. Basically, you are bringing Muzzle, and your opponent happens to win the game because he muzzled you first, and you have no answer. Right. You didn't have Muzzle in hand. It's one of the worst feeling ever, right?
Yeah.
You feel kind of cheated. Yeah, that's what I said. That's the way I put it, and I wholeheartedly agree. And that's why I don't really. Yeah, and there's that too. It also puts the viability of decks like Hansel Siege on a very low level, because while run Siege support, right, it gets muzzled, it gets killed, and so easily. So
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love to play I used to play your version of Siege, Hansel Siege, right? And I was really good at using it, and I enjoy playing that deck. I cannot really play that reliably anymore because of Muzzle.
Yeah, seriously, I agree.
That bad.
Yeah, I think that right now, because bronze setup cards are so strong, they're all below 8 points anyway. And
most of the key bronze cards are below 8 or equal to 8.
Yeah, and they're the cards that are like the backbone of most of these decks. So if you can steal one, that's why like Muzzle's kind of replaced Eskel, I think, because Eskel was being used for the same purpose, right? To disrupt the setup cards for bronzes. But Muzzle, not only can you kill a siege support or something strong, but you can steal it and get that value for yourself.
Yeah, make it work for you. Yeah.
Like I can't count how many times I've played Hanva Scoia'tael and stolen the Vreehead Dragoon with Muzzle and end up with more buffs than they do. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. Well, at least even if it is an unbalanced card, at least every faction has the has the option to run it. What do you think about the balance of the factions right now? What factions do you think are the strongest? What do you think is the weakest?
The balance of the factions.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, I think the top deck. I mean, the strongest deck and the most reliable deck at this moment is Emir Spies.
Yeah.
And you can tell because the make of their cards hasn't changed one bit in this patch.
Yeah.
That's how powerful that deck is.
We saw Adsikov get 1480 MMR in only 100 games.
100 games. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Skellige is seeing a lot of innovation and experimentation.
Yeah.
Which I think is very healthy for that faction. And Skellige is a very balanced faction. It does a lot of things very well. And so that's kind of expected in a way. And I mean, you could play Herald Cripple and make it work with an X-Men deck, right? Just people are not really doing it as much.
True.
That's all.
Yeah.
And now we are seeing the True Strike better and buff deck. We are seeing Great Swords. We are seeing Cursed.
Yeah.
And we are seeing, of course, the old-fashioned discard Skellige.
Yeah.
And it's good. And so Skellige is the second. Just because Emir Spies is too strong, I think. It's very close second, so those two are the top.
I'm with you.
And
so far.
Nilfgaard has another viable archetype too. You can go full rebuild, or you can go rebuild mill crossover, which is quite strong. And if you get beaten by rebuild mill, it's one of the dirtiest feelings ever. Like you get keyboard in the end, and it draws you nothing. And they build up what you're the best unit on the board, and you get nothing from it. Like, fuck this game, right? And so those are the top two, and Monster is the top three, I think, because Monster. I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, we are seeing constant monsters, and constant monster is very frustrating to play against because if you get their Necker chain out, or at least if you get at least the two Neckers get benefit. If you're leaving two Neckers on the board, it's you're gonna lose the game probably 100% of time. It doesn't matter how much card advantage you have, right? Today I lost the game. Like I had 3 cards advantage from first round. I lost the game by considerable margin in round 3. I was so pissed.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, and to really counter consume, you need to play a lock. You need to play unit or spell that banishes their Necker.
Yeah.
And you need to play something that's going to steal something from their graveyard.
Yeah, it's
the only faction that can fit the description is Speratel and probably like Skellige. So
yeah.
And that's consumed for you. And Weather Monster is still strong. I mean, Weather Monster is just not going to go away. They are always going to find some crack in the meta, and they're always going to do relatively well. And people are not really prepared to face Weathers that much.
Yeah, they're going to cut their Weather clears, and then
there's the area control is still popping up. People are high level players are playing in tournaments. So there's a Petrify played on the Grand Slam qualifier, and he qualified for Grand Slam. And,
I think he said he didn't drop a single game with that deck.
Yeah, something like that on Twitter. Yeah, I remember.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the Dagon Consume hybrid with the Udren Spirit is of course very strong.
Yeah.
And for me, I just suck at drawing Udren Spirit, so I dare not to run that deck. I'm gonna make an emote. It's gonna say Udren Mia or something like that. That's my idea. That's how bad of luck I have with the Udren Spirit. Yeah, and Force and so what are the two factions that are remaining?
Scoia'tael and Northern Realms.
Yeah. So Squirtle. Yeah. By no means, I'm not saying Squirtle or Northern Realms are bad factions. There's some viable options, right? It's just
Right.
that those options are kind of limited compared to other factions.
Right.
And you know, the leaders that are seeing play are really like kind of limited in Northern Realms and Squirtle. It's kind of a combination of both, lack of innovation from player base, and the other part of the coin is of course the situation sort of demands it to play that leader because it's just the better of the three.
Yeah.
And here in Squatter, we are seeing it with the overuse of Edne, and we are seeing some Francesca hand buff here and there. And you see people like me playing Bruberhook, but that's about it. People are going to play Speratel, or now people are going to play Swim's version of Speratel,
Yeah.
the Biotel, right?
What do you think about that deck?
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty damn strong.
Yeah.
It's definitely well built, and Swim has a really good rationale of running 5-share-less Speratel deck. So he feels it's better to use Sage instead of 5-share. And at least in his deck build, it makes sense. And
well, they nerfed Farseer, so that kind of ruined the card.
Yeah, and if you're not running Scorch, and even if you're running Scorch, if you don't do multi-Scorch with your Scorch, you're gonna have a hard time beating that deck.
Yeah.
And if you lose the coin flip, then good luck beating that deck, man. Good luck beating the buffed up 4 protectors, because he plays operator and gives you a 4 buffed up 4 buffed up protectors. And he uses so many spells, those go up to nearly 20 points each card. Just crazy.
Yeah, I've had some trouble beating that deck. It's very strong.
And in Northern Realms, we see Radovid the most, because I think Radovid is the most reliable Northern Realms leader. I think part of it is because Radovid Africa joke, but like I was experimenting with the older Northern Realms leader yesterday on my stream.
Yeah.
And I just had a bad time with the Fortes and the Henselt. Henselt is because arguably it's the strongest leader power of all 3 in Northern Realms, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the key bronze unit he gets out is gonna get killed. Sometimes it's gonna get Muzzle, sometimes it's gonna get Sundered and all that. Yeah. And if you only manage to get 1 bronze card out of your deck, then it's already considerably worse than your 2 other Northern Realms leader.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to play Henselt now, especially with every deck running Muzzle. And I thought about even running like Quen and Sheila in Northern Realms just to buff, like protect against, Thunder and whatever. But they can still steal. They can still steal it with Muzzle, so it's not worth it.
Yeah. So and it's just not in a good place. And Fortes, in order to get a good benefit out of Fortes leader ability, you need to play a really big deck. You need a deck size way bigger than 25, right?
Yeah.
And
or
do you really want to play like 40 cards deck in competitive scene or tournaments? I mean, I know Super JJ did that once in I don't remember. Was it Gwent to open first? I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
But that was a time when you could draw through the whole deck pretty reliably.
Yeah. And I just think that the kind of leader ability is really boring. I mean, buffing all of your bronze and silvers by 1, and you need to play a really big size deck just to take advantage of the ability.
Yeah.
I mean, it's viable in a sense. It's gonna win you some games. It's gonna lose you some games. And if you're a good player, you are gonna win more fair games than you are gonna lose. But my argument is that if you're a good player and if you know how to play the game, you're gonna win more games anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why for me? Why do I want to play a boring 40 cards deck? Where I need to high roll every single time, right?
Well, full test is a good counter to Eskel.
Yeah, and Radovid is the only reliable Northern Realms leader at this point, because he's at least netting you 14 points with his
Yeah, and
ability.
there's a lot of cards. Like if you look at the other decks, like you'll always find 2 lock targets in Spies.
Yeah,
You'll always find lock targets in Skellige unless they're playing the new
yeah.
veteran decks. You'll find lock targets against other Northern Realms decks. So
Mm.
yeah, he's pretty consistent
I
right
mean,
now.
yeah. Even then, a lot of it the ability is kind of boring because
Oh yeah,
it's just the super dub ox, right? The way I want to put
Super
it.
Ox. Yeah,
Yeah, super ox. I mean, it would be better if it just flat out kills the opponent's key bronze. That used to be old a lot of bit ability. It can even kill the gold unit back in the close beta. I
oh yeah.
think the lot of bit ability, right? It did like 6
I
damage.
wasn't playing closed beta, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it did a 6 to 8 damage, something like that. And if you play any for conjurer
Yeah,
and gold, and it just
I
wiped
see.
off right there.
Right.
Yeah, those were the days when only a lot of bit leader ability and Bonan Roach and Ivoris was the only gold cards that can kill other gold cards. Otherwise, gold cards was like untouchable.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, and I think we might as well give Lado with the sort of maybe it shouldn't be able to target gold unit, but something that can target silver and bronze and reliably kill it right away. That's gonna make the deck more spicy, I think.
Maybe
The way now
yeah.
it is, it's kind of like. Also, if you're a good player, you can play a sort of play around a lot of bit ability, right? So,
Oh yeah,
for example,
yeah.
if I play my handbomb against Ladobit, I'll never get 2 dragons out.
Yeah.
I just play 1 dragon out, and when I feel like I got enough value out of my dragon, I'm just gonna play my second dragon. Then he's gonna lock my both of my dragons, right?
Yeah.
Then I pass and we move to the next round. And he's not gonna be able to lock my other priority target like a Torbia, for example.
Yeah.
Some users play Margarita along with a lot of abilities. Sometimes I kind of feel that's an overkill, but kind of justified if they're playing like a card like a Blantrimus. But yeah, there's that. So I don't know, man. Northern Realms, their leader ability is just so boring to me right now. And
What do you think if Radovid had an ability like the old Assassinate? Like lock and do 8 damage or something. Lock and do 10 damage or something.
I can do 10 damage, then it'll be way too strong because then it'll override the opponent's leader ability, right? It's good, for example, it's gonna make Uncreate's ability very stupid because it's gonna kill Morkbarg and banish it from the face of the earth. So
that's true.
Yeah, and so you don't want the leader ability to be so strong that it just kind of counteracts the opponent's leader ability.
Yeah.
And it can sort of do overlap, like depending on the situation. This one is better, this one is worse.
Mm-hmm.
But to the point where it makes the other leaders obsolete in the matchup is way too much.
Yeah.
The way I see it.
That makes sense. Do you have anything else you want to talk about the current state of the meta?
The current state of meta, it's more balanced, and I think most of the streamers agree.
Yeah.
But it kind of lacks certain. It doesn't feel fresh. Yeah, it's kind of stale because we are still seeing spies all over, and and the top 3 factions haven't really changed. The place of the top 3 faction is still Skellige, Nilfgaard, and Monster.
Well, I might disagree with you on monsters, but
yeah. So you think the Square Tail is better than Monster?
I think monsters might be the worst. Because I think it was the worst last season, and the only thing they got was the consume deck, and if that becomes popular at all, it's very, very easy to tech against. So I don't think we'll ever see monsters with very high. Like maybe someone will sneak in 100 games with consume monsters when everyone forgets about it, but it's hard to play if it's in the meta at all because people will run double Mardrome, they'll run locks, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but the way I see it, I mean, It's just that I think mostly seeing more play than other LLMs and Squatel though. So I mean, obviously I'm prejudiced just by my experience. So
yeah.
I might be in the wrong here. So yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you completely that Spies is the number one and Skellige is very close behind. I think it's I think that's a pretty. After that, it gets a little more murky. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. So I think that's about it. Anything else you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to shout out to the listeners?
Oh yeah, I would like to give a shout out to my GwentMania crew, and I really feel blessed to. Well, I don't believe in God, so maybe shouldn't say the word blessed.
Bless
It's
RNG.
Contradiction, but yeah, let's say I'm really happy to join the GwentMania crew, and
Cool.
I'm glad they reached out to me. And of course, I want to give a shout out to the Korean Gwent community and the Korean Discord community.
Nice.
And without them, I probably wouldn't be the place I am right now. So
cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'll put a link to your Twitch, Twitter, and send me a link to the Korean Discord community too. And if anyone's listening and they're not part of it, they can join.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Cool. Well, that will wrap it up then. Thanks for doing the interview with me today Insangpha. And
yeah, we already did about an hour, so time flies by when you talk.
Geez, crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I hope people don't mind all this spicy Gwent conversation.
Alright, so yeah, thanks, man.
You can follow Insangpha on Twitter and Twitch, where his username is Insangpha. Link will be in the description. Stay tuned for the next Summoning Circle podcast. We have more interviews coming soon, and you can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever podcasts are played. Thank you.